how to release negative emotions. So typically what we are programmed to do automatically is, and this is typically very subconscious, is the moment an uncomfortable or unwanted emotion comes up, the second we sense it coming, we instantly distract. And there are so many ways we can distract. There's the obvious numbing out tools that we use, but for many of us in the personal development, spiritual communities, we rush to techniques. And today I'm going to share with you a really simple and profound way to just allow these negative feelings to come up and be released in the most effortless way. So the trick here is to be in a state where you're more aware, right? So, and this comes with practice. The more you're practicing following your joy, the more you're practicing embodying a state of peace, the more you're paying attention to your thoughts and your emotions and how you're feeling in your body. Are you feeling tense or are you feeling relaxed and at ease? You're going to be able to pick up on these lower vibrational, more dense energies when they come up. So this can look like fear, anxiety, being triggered, thinking negative thoughts, just all of a sudden feeling good, and then all of a sudden one moment feeling confused and cloudy and hazy and like what? And often times we will tell a story about this, right? We're afraid that, don't want to look at that, it's going to get worse, or we don't want to acknowledge that that's coming up because then we make a story up about it that it means we've backtracked or something, and none of that is true. All it is old programming, and actually every time it's coming up, it's an opportunity for you to release it. You can either engage with it, like actively go into a negative fear spiral, you can suppress it and ignore it, or you can face it head on and just let it be released. So I'm going to share with you how to do that, how to just let it be released. So the way I like to do this is when I notice I'm feeling contracted, something comes up, I just take a moment and I just check in with myself. I take a breath. I'm like, okay, this is happening. All right, let's deal with it. And just take a nice deep breath, work on calming my nervous system, and then I get curious. Sometimes it literally will just pass with the breath. Sometimes it wants to talk to you. It wants to say its piece and be like, everything's not okay. You cannot be having fun right now. You cannot be relaxing right now because there's a crisis and there's like impending doom and, whatever. You know how it likes to be a little dramatic sometimes, right? So if it's loaded, if it has things it wants to say, I'm going to give it space to say what it wants to say. I'm going to listen to it. Crows talking in the background. I don't know if the audio picks that up. Little confirmation. Anyway, so you just listen to it, hear it out. Notice, just observe, like don't engage with it, just listen, right? Don't try to shut it up. Don't try to tell it it's wrong. Just listen. What is it saying? And it's going to be an old belief system. It's going to be some train of thought that's been practiced. Otherwise, you wouldn't have it, right? What you can do is ask yourself first, is this what I really believe? Because when you are actively reprogramming your conscious and subconscious mind, sometimes these old thought forms are going to come up and you're going to be able to be like, oh no, that's fear. Never mind. I don't actually believe that. That's a lackful thought. That's a fearful thought. I don't actually believe that. So just ask yourself, do I actually believe this? And if it's no, you can just keep breathing and release it. If there's a little bit of it that's kind of, it's hitting a sore spot, it's kind of poking at you, prodding, triggering you a little bit, that's a sign that even if you know logically that it's not true, there's a part of you that still subconsciously believes it. So you can ask yourself then, well, do I want to believe this? Is this something that I want to be true? If it makes you feel tight, if it's fearful, if it makes you feel contracted, if it makes you feel like shit, no, you don't want it. So you can just keep breathing and intend that you're going to release it. If this is a theme that you're working through, this would be a good time to state your new intention. Say, actually, this is a fear-based thought and I'm choosing love. I'm choosing to believe in abundance. I'm choosing to believe that I'm more than enough. I'm choosing to believe that things always work out for me. Whatever your new belief is. If this is something you haven't addressed before, and you're like, oh, this is interesting, you can just think to yourself, what would feel better? What would I prefer to believe? And you can introduce that and then just keep breathing and let it go. If when you ask this question, you feel really stumped, and this can happen when we have a lot of split energy going on. This can happen when it's like deep-rooted subconscious things, which is nothing to be afraid of. Thank it for showing itself to you so you have the opportunity to work through it. You can just call on your higher mind. You can simply call on the infinite intelligence within you and say, hey, I'm feeling conflicted about this. I don't know what my truth is about this. Give me some clarity, please. And the clarity may come immediately, or it may come down the road. And you can just be at peace with that, knowing that it's going to get resolved. Either way, no matter where you are on the spectrum here, you can always hand it over to your higher mind. And essentially when you're breathing and relaxing and releasing this, that's what you're doing. You're essentially saying, okay, this is not something I'm choosing to engage with simply because it feels terrible. And I know that when things make me feel tight, when things make me feel terrible, when things make me feel anxious and fearful, there's never a good outcome from that. I want to feel spacious. I want to feel calm. I want to feel relaxed. I want to feel at peace. And so you can simply just intentionally release it, knowing that the infinite intelligence within you is going to reorder that. Sometimes it's going to completely remove that situation from your life. Other times it will give you a change in perspective, so you view it differently, therefore you experience it differently. Sometimes it's a combination of the two, but it will always get resolved. So, and when you're doing this, it requires patience for sure, because some of these things, they'll come up and they'll come up and they'll come up, and you don't want to get frustrated with it. Just every time it comes up, it is literally an opportunity for you to expand, to choose to not be a slave to the fear, to not be a slave to that dense energy, and to choose to put yourself on the pedestal, to choose to be in the position of power, saying, you know what, I'm choosing to be bigger than this. This is coming up, and I am not going to repeat the cycle. I'm going to do my part to allow this to be dissolved and resolved in the best way possible.